Karma View Media.
What's good with you people? What's good with you? What's hood with you? Back at it again for another episode of the We did it. Alright, this one here, as you can already see from the title and the thumbnail. Intro.
You know that I've got a girlfriend, so try to imagine how I feel when I see you in those high heels looking ideal. And I know that you've got a boyfriend, and tell him if you don't then I will, cause I will. And I know that it's
Karma View Media. The view from the other side.
Alright people, so this video here is from Nova Media. Yeah, it's what's his name? Michael Walker is the guy that's gonna be reacting to this. This is Piers Morgan, was it flattened by Cosmic Skeptic and Graham Smith. Flattened. I'm guessing that means checked, embarrassed, put in your place. So let's see if that actually happened. Don't forget guys, make sure your HBO, you know what I'm saying, show a brother some love, need that support, you heard me? This is East London, this ain't Jersey. This is a pointless saying. But anyhow, we gonna get into this guys. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. Let's go!
Firstly, it's wrong in principle. It's not democratic. It stands on a completely different set of feudal values instead of the values of accountability, equality, and democratic rights and so on. Secondly, as an institution, it is not fit for purpose. It falls well short of the principles of public life. I don't think it's going too far to say it's corrupt. And constitutionally, in terms of our politics and the way power is exercised, it funnels a lot of power.
What have been the four most watched events globally involving this country in the last 3 years?
What the hell has that got to do with anything? What has that got to do with anything? I'm sure when the Argentinians had the World Cup, when they were trying to whitewash, what's it called, sports wash or whatever you want to call it. I think it's sports wash because they're not white people. Sports wash their drama and their wars and the way that they were doing their things back in the day. I'm sure Hitler tried to do the same thing with his. How many people watched Hitler's Olympics? Like, that's got nothing to do with nothing. Like, you're really embarrassing yourself there, Piers. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, but that doesn't really... Oh, hang on. Well, you're going to say the weddings and the jubilees.
Just answer my question.
Yep.
And I'm sure, he did say this country, but I'm sure World Cups, Women's World Cup, Men's World Cup, Europe, Olympics, whatever, got bare numbers, even more numbers. Let's not get excited.
We're going to say the weddings and the jubilees. I'm not sure that's even the case because I think UEFA had...
well, forget football.
Well, you can't just say forget...
Forget football, yeah. Getting flabbergasted right there. Getting flabbergasted.
Football.
When the world looked at the Platinum Jubilee, for example, when the world looked in a very different tone at the Queen's funeral, the King's coronation, you look at these events and it shows Britain, in my view, at its greatest.
Let me pause him right there. You know, other countries have royal families, and when they put on a show, do you care? No one cares. No one cares. It's just people who are royalists that care. No one don't care. You don't care. Do you know that there's a Queen of Netherlands? I'm sure. I think Spain has a royal family. Korea has a royal family. I'm sure. Does China have one? I don't know if Australia. Nah, sorry. Since we're here and we're talking, let's not talk gibberish. Yeah, let's find out which countries have royal families. Spain, Sweden, United Kingdom, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Netherlands, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, Canada, France, Qatar, Barbados. Yeah, you know Barbados has got a royal family. Don't they come under Commonwealth? Papua New Guinea, like there's quite a few. That's got to get, like, don't get up your bum, blood. Don't get up your butt. You understand? Sorry, now I lost myself. All right, let's get back.
The pomp, the pageantry, the ceremony, the military precision. Everything worked like clockwork. Everyone around the world who was watching this, and as a caveat, many people are not interested, I get that. But the millions, tens of millions around the world that watched it thought better of our country. How many things has happened in our country in the last 3 years?
Sorry, but you need to tell me, because you're putting on your airs and graces, that means that's the truth of the country. We all know that's the fake smile. You know what I'm saying? We all know that's it's mostly, you know, like a woman thing, you know, families coming over, anything like that, and everything's got to be tidy and clean. That families coming over, and what do most men do, and the children do? Like, what? Why can't we just be who we are? Alright, sorry about that, people. Cards got full again. I can't believe that. I need really to clear that off. Alright, let's get straight back to this.
Involving our leaders, for example, which have brought shame and ignominy to the country. Here, you have a chance to show us at our best. What price do you put on
There's
that?
nothing about the royal family that's brought us shame, in your opinion, that you've been sort of
loads of things.
relentlessly
As
talking
human
about.
beings,
The idea that the
as
monarchy
human beings,
sits
they are
above the politics
they are as
of the
fragile
country.
as any of us.
And you say, you know, it doesn't help us to escape the various political scandals of prime ministers and presidents. Well, does it? I thought you were the one who's constantly banging on about Harry and Meghan and how they're a disgrace to our country or whatever it is. I don't think.
Well, I think rather like you two, their
what
attempts
you're
to
claiming.
damage the monarchy and bring it down are actually disgraceful, because I happen to support the monarchy. But that's a different argument.
A few big events isn't.
It's funny how he says that, because he's always wanted to drag down Arsenal, and I'm a supporter of Arsenal. That's why I don't like him. You get me? Especially sports. Other things, I'm willing to hear his opinion, and then I'll judge that.
Not an argument for a constitution which is second rate. It's not an argument for an institution that abuses public money, that abuses public office to lobby for their interests.
It's a very effective form of debating, actually, because one thing they didn't do is sort of what Piers Morgan wants you to do when you go on his show is get outraged, because the moment you get outraged, he thinks, here is where I can pounce and I can make you look like you're a sensitive liberal who gets offended at everything. What those guys were doing was keeping it very, very calm. And Piers Morgan ended up having to say things like, well, forget about football. Aside from football, aside from the Olympics, they're the biggest events apart from XYZ. Now, once you're making those exceptions, you look a little bit like you're clutching at straws, don't you? I mean, also, I think the point that was made there, which is sensible, is that while you might get some good publicity for certain events involving the royal family, such as, in an odd way, I think even the Queen's death was probably decent publicity for the country, because, yeah, we put on a good show. But it's very, very risky having your PR strategy as a country based on a family who inherit their positions, because what if one of them is a Prince Andrew, right? Let's look at some more of that debate.
If you're going to have a monarchy and a royal family, and they're performing over 1,000 duties a year,
Like garden
Which
parties.
is not a lot.
well, they're actually getting lots of charities and they do a lot of help for people,
Which
right?
they couldn't do as private citizens.
Well, they could, but
that
it wouldn't
is-
have the same impact.
Okay.
But here's my point. If you're going to have them,
Wait. Well, they could, but it wouldn't have the same impact. So then normal people shouldn't be helping no one. We shouldn't be doing charity because it doesn't have the same impact. We just leave it up to the royal family to do all of that. You get me? Donate to breast cancer, donate to the homeless, donate to children, donate to the hospitals, like, do everything. Hurry up, because you got the most expensive house in the world. You know what I mean? Really and truly, should sell that, open it up.
you should give them all the trappings.
Why?
Of a
Why?
Because
Where's
otherwise they're not a royal family.
the
They're
logic?
not a monarchy.
Where's the logic?
The logic is, if you want people to buy into the magic of a monarchy and royal family,
but it's not-
you've got to give them the tools to be
nobody does
magical.
anymore.
It's not
Nobody
magic,
does
it's
this
corruption.
What would you have them in? A little Tesla?
Maybe a suit would be fine. We could start by getting rid of these ridiculous garments. We spent most of the time that we've known
What,
now
dressed like
King
you?
Charles dressed like me.
I mean,
Just like you, he's in a suit. The only thing difference between him and you is a tie. Do you see how how they're controlling Piers right now? It's getting embarrassing.
And so to see him for the first time,
you're the king dressed like
see
you.
him-
No offense.
Well,
but-
he'd probably put on a tie.
Huh?
He'd look more like you, I suppose.
Yes.
To see him
Exactly.
suddenly put on these robes would be like watching Rishi Sunak or someone suddenly
But it's
don
part
these
of our history.
ludicrous
And actually,
robes,
it gives,
but
us
holding an
something,
orb.
it gives us something
It's
so few other countries in the
absolutely
world
ridiculous.
have.
No,
So few. I just read you a list of everyone who's got royal families and they do exactly the same shit.
nobody can take it
And
seriously.
you may not like
Nobody
it,
can take it seriously
but
anymore.
many around the world love it. If you go to the Caribbean, if you go to America, you go to Canada,
many
you go
people-
to India, you go anywhere in the world, Australia.
It's very odd to use the Caribbean as the example, because obviously, as we've been talking about on this show for the past year, lots of countries in the Caribbean want to leave the Commonwealth.
Thank you.
Barbados already planning.
See, that's why Barbados that's why they're on the list to have their own royal family. I need to click on that because I want to see who they are. It can't be. I'm sure the Queen is still the royal family. Charles is still the head. But yeah, you see, get me. Be next, Lou. Be next, St. Lou.
To leave the Commonwealth. I think Jamaica is now thinking about it. So this idea that everyone in the Caribbean loves Prince Charles putting on these wacky costumes, I think is a little bit far-fetched. Up next, they discussed what many use to defend the existence of the monarchy, its impact on tourism.
And they bring in so much money from tourism.
Well, that's not true.
So does marijuana in Amsterdam, but we ain't doing that here, are we? Because we idiots.
It's true.
No, it isn't. That's definitely not
true.
It's definitely not true. Now, the thing is, there is no evidence. And I've sat down with the CEO and chair of Visit Britain about a decade ago, and I said, there's no evidence that if we got rid of the monarchy, tourism would go down. And they said, yes, you're absolutely
You don't
right.
think the royal family brings in any money from tourism?
No evidence that tourism money wouldn't come in anyway.
I mean, if you just look at the money that came in the weeks leading up to these big events that we've had over the last 4 years,
look at the
huge amounts of money.
If you look at the visitor numbers,
American tourists pouring in, Australian tourists,
the visitor numbers go down when these things happen. If you look at the visitor numbers, they go down when these
People
things
stay
happen.
away from these kind of things.
Ooh, that's deep. And you can see his face. He liked that. He dropped that. When these events are popping off that you're promoting that the world love, that stops people coming here. They don't want to come here because that shit is popping off. Ooh.
And if I may say, Cheshire Zoo is a bigger tourist attraction in the UK than Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle. I wouldn't be in favour of a state-funded ceremonial opening.
When was the last time hundreds of millions of people around the world on television
watched
the birth of a penguin at Chester Zoo?
I certainly would not be in favour.
They don't, do they?
Of its owners or its directors, or indeed the sort of sometimes sinister and yet still to be pitied animals that are kept within its cages, given any kind of political office over the rest of us.
When do we beam the lives of the
whims
inmates of Chester Zoo to the world?
Because you don't do it. If you started doing it, it would probably be very big. Look how people are with pets now. It will probably be very big. Look at that thing. What's it called? Ruffs. Whatever. The thing with the dogs. That's a big thing, you know. That's a big thing.
It's not a good justification for political office.
I didn't realise that point about Cheshire Zoo. I mean, the one I often use in those conversations is Versailles, because many, many, many more people visit the Palace of Versailles in France than they do Buckingham Palace or Windsor. Now, what did the French do to their monarchy? Not too difficult a question. They obviously abolished them, and in a pretty bloody way. So the idea that you need to keep the royal family for people to keep turning up to the palaces, again, seems a little bit far-fetched. Of course, I think Versailles is probably quite a bit more attractive than Buckingham Palace. So if we became a republic, I'm not sure Buckingham Palace would have quite the appeal Versailles does. But the idea you need to give them the power to veto laws just to bring over some tourists, again, not too strong. And I think Piers Morgan was starting to realise that. The absurdity of his position, though, reached new levels in this next clip.
What about William's campaign at the moment to end homelessness?
Yeah, fantastic. Funded by what?
Funded by us.
And what's this, like £3 million pounds?
So you don't like his campaign against homeless?
I think it's wonderful.
What have you got against the homeless?
It's nothing he couldn't do as a private citizen.
We give him £22 million.
What do you have against the homeless?
What is it?
We give him £22 million.
Oh, Piers, you are weak right there, boy. You are weak right there. This debate is about the royal family and are they needed? And you want to pick one project that William is doing and saying, oh, you don't like homeless. Why? Because he's decided to use taxpayers' money to help the homeless. Do that. You should have been doing that. Your great granny should have been doing that. Don't like puff up your chest like that's something special. Do it then, innit? There shouldn't be even no project. Send the people out from the palace and go and feed the homeless. Go and give up your rooms them. Do something. It don't take long.
You can spend that on.
You don't want him to help the homeless.
That's the most ludicrous thing you've said on this show, and that says a lot.
The bar is low, I agree.
To say that this is something that requires royalty, to say this is something that requires he has some kind of political office, that he's going to inherit the head of statehood, that he's going to become the head of state of this country, that's got anything to do with his ability to give £3 million to charity.
What do you have against the homeless? That man is losing. Piers Morgan is losing that debate, and he knows it. I'd actually be very interested to see if they don't, because I think this is a sort of new segment he's doing on the show. Prove me wrong. As I say, fair play, bringing on people to sort of stress test his arguments. But he's got two people who are more articulate than him, and he's resorting to what do you have against the homeless. I don't think even the most cynical royalist viewer will be watching that and thinking, oh yeah, these two guests clearly hate the homeless. And that was a reach. By the end, let's look at our final clip. The only thing left for Piers Morgan to do was to make the debate about Alex and Graham.
The pair of you wake up every day and you think, how do I end this thing I hate? Why don't you just ignore it? It's a bit like vegan. I'll tell you what it is. We're having a vegan.
Oh, been watching the people who are against abortion. Been watching some of their videos, right? And what Piers just said, because they have a poster, right? And it's got slave owner, it's got Negroes for sale, slave owner saying, if you don't want slaves, you don't have to have one. It's my property, my prerogative, right? And then they go down the poster, and it's a woman having an abortion, right? And then it says, if you don't want an abortion, you don't have to have one. And then lower down it says, my body, my choice, right? Now, Piers just comes with, if you don't like it, just ignore it. The language, the things aren't the same, but the language used is the same.
Vegan debate in a minute. It's a bit like vegans who run into steakhouses screaming abuse about
Well, no,
meat.
it's a bit like-
If you don't like
it's
meat,
a bit like-
go and eat
it's a
your
bit-
gruel
it's a
in
bit
a little
like-
restaurant in the corner.
It's a bit like saying...
Leave me to eat my steak.
It's actually a bit like getting up in the morning and saying, I want to end homelessness because I hate it. I want to end the monarchy
Quite right.
because it is a bad thing. It's bad for Britain. It's bad for our government.
It's not bad for Britain.
Oh, he does that was beautiful. No, it's like waking up in the morning and saying, I want to end homelessness because homelessness is bad. Oh my God. Them two came ready. They came ready.
It's bad for our governance.
And also, for what it's
bad
worth,
for our image.
Look at Piers looking at his notes. He can't find nothing. There's nothing there to help you, Piers. You fucked up. You invited the wrong you invited the right motherfuckers this time. I was gonna say wrong. You invited the right motherfuckers this time.
2 out of
It's
the 3
bad.
It's
times.
purely ceremony when it comes to
2 out of the 3 times that I've
But the
ever spoken
ceremony,
about this subject.
the pomp, the
And because you've
pageantry-
invited me to. Those are 2 of the 3 times that I've ever spoken about the subject in public.
Yeah.
It's because you've invited me to. So I don't think it's me who's banging on about this.
2 of the 3 times is
Oh my God, that is beautiful. 2 of the 3 times I've spoken about this in public is because you invited me to. You, Piers. Don't say that I'm banging on and I'm going around banging on. You invited me to come and talk about this. Gold.
ever talked about this in public is because Piers Morgan invited him.
It's one of those where we are so inundated with misinformation in regards to what the Royals do for this country.
I'm going to stop it there, guys. If you want to watch the rest of the video, it's not that long. It's about 3 minutes left. But I just want to stop it there because that's the end of the debate. You understand? Well, that was interesting. That was funny and that was interesting. Normally Piers, because Piers normally he just shuts people down by being louder, saying something dumb like, oh, you don't like homeless people. Like, that's stupid. You're gonna lose. And that's when you know people are losing the argument, because they say ridiculous things and then they go way off topic, like it's got nothing to do with nothing. We out here talking about this and you want to talk about what this thing does over there sometimes. Like, what's that got to do with anything? You know what I'm saying? Levels to the game, baby. Levels to the game. That's all. You just got to have a fair debate. And he got flattened, as the title of this says, but I think you could say he got killed, 30'd. If this was battle rap, you'd say he got 30'd. 3 rounds, 3-0, zip, done. Out of here. That was funny, but I'm out of here, people. Stay good, stay blessed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that goody, all that goody. And I'll see you on the next video. Stay good, stay blessed. Don't forget, let me know down below what you think. Are you a royalist? Let me know down below. Oh.
Can you keep it on the hush? Cause you're likely to wanna tell your friends how I Take a good look, you can see it's a good look. Yeah, take a good look, you can see